When you think of intelligence, you might picture someone with a library full of books or a string of academic degrees. But the truth is, real intelligence isn't just about what's in your head. It's about how you live, how you handle people, and how you handle yourself. Highly intelligent women don't announce they're smart. You can see it in their habits, in the way they carry themselves, and in the way they make decisions. One of the first things you'll notice is they master the art of listening. They aren't in a rush to prove they're the smartest in the room. They don't interrupt to throw in their opinion. They pause, they absorb, and they make the other person feel heard. Because they know that listening gives them more information, more perspective, and more influence than speaking ever could. They also choose their battles wisely. Life throws countless situations at you where you could argue, prove a point, or show you're right. But intelligent women understand that not every fight is worth fighting. They don't waste energy on people committed to misunderstanding them. They save that energy for things that actually matter. That's not weakness. That's strategy. They never stop learning. And this isn't just about formal education. They read, they observe, they ask questions, they try new things. They understand that intelligence grows when curiosity stays alive. They're not afraid to admit what they don't know, because to them, every gap is just an opportunity to grow. When it comes to relationships, they choose quality over quantity. They're intentional about who they let into their inner circle. They surround themselves with people who inspire, challenge, and elevate them, not those who drain their energy or feed them negativity. They understand that the company you keep can either sharpen your mind or dull it. Emotional self-discipline is another quiet superpower they have. They don't let anger, insecurity, or fear make their decisions for them. They respond, not react. They keep their tone steady, their body language calm, and their words measured, even when the situation gets heated. That calm isn't accidental. It's practiced. And maybe one of the most defining habits of all, they protect their time like it's gold. They understand that time is the one resource you can never get back. They don't say yes out of guilt, and they don't stretch themselves thin to please everyone. If it doesn't align with their goals, values, or peace of mind, they say no, and they don't apologize for it. Being a highly intelligent woman isn't about knowing all the answers. It's about knowing yourself, knowing your values, and living in a way that reflects them. It's about being intentional, disciplined, and unafraid to stand alone when needed. Intelligence shows up in small daily choices, and over time, those choices create a life that speaks louder than words ever could. They master the art of listening because they understand that true intelligence isn't always in what you say, but in what you take in. When a highly intelligent woman is in a conversation, she's not thinking about her reply while the other person is speaking. She's not rushing to jump in with her opinion or to correct someone mid-sentence. Instead, she's fully present. She pays attention not only to the words, but to the tone, the pauses, the emotion underneath. She knows that what people don't say often tells her just as much as what they do say. This kind of listening allows her to gather more than just surface level information. It gives her insight into how someone feels, what they value, and even what they might be afraid to express. By listening first, she gives herself an advantage. Most people listen to reply. She listens to understand. This habit means she often walks away from conversations with details others miss. It allows her to connect more deeply because people can sense when they're genuinely being heard. In a world where so many are waiting for their turn to speak, this ability makes her stand out without her having to push for attention. She can make others feel important, respected, and comfortable, which often opens doors for trust and cooperation. Intelligent women also know that listening doesn't mean agreeing with everything they hear. They can take in opposing viewpoints without feeling attacked. They can listen to criticism without becoming defensive because they understand the difference between listening and accepting. By hearing someone out fully, they gain the time and clarity to decide how they want to respond, if they want to respond at all. This approach not only leads to better decisions, but also reduces unnecessary conflict. This habit of listening is also rooted in humility. They don't feel the need to prove they know everything because they are secure enough to learn from anyone. A coworker, a child, even someone with less experience. They understand that everyone has a perspective shaped by their own life, and there's value in seeing through another person's lens. This openness keeps them adaptable and better prepared for change because they're constantly collecting new information and insights. Another reason this habit is so powerful is that it builds influence quietly. People naturally gravitate toward those who make them feel heard. When someone feels truly listened to, they're more likely to trust, respect, and follow that person's lead. Intelligent women don't have to shout to be respected. They earn it through presence, patience, and understanding. Over time, their reputation grows not because they talk the most, but because when they do speak, people know their words are thoughtful, measured, and worth paying attention to. They choose their battles wisely because they know that not every situation deserves their energy. Highly intelligent women understand that time, focus, and emotional stability are resources, and wasting them on the wrong conflicts can be costly. When faced with provocation or disagreement, they don't jump into defense mode or try to prove a point just to be right. Instead, they take a step back and ask themselves a few silent questions. Is this worth my time? Will this matter in a week, a month, or a year? Does engaging with this help me grow, or does it just drain me? More often than not, they find that walking away or letting something go is the smarter choice. This doesn't mean they avoid all confrontation. It means they're strategic about it. If an issue affects their values, their well-being, or something that truly matters, they'll address it with confidence. But if it's fueled by ego, misunderstanding, or someone else's need to stir drama, they won't take the bait. They know that jumping into every conflict leaves them exhausted and distracted from what's truly important. By choosing battles selectively, they maintain control over their emotions and keep their mental space clear for decisions that matter. Intelligent women also understand that people are often looking for a reaction, not a resolution. Whether it's in the workplace, social settings, or personal relationships, there will always be those who push buttons just to see how far they can go. Instead of feeding into that dynamic, these women respond with calm detachment or simply remove themselves from the situation. They know that silence or non-engagement can sometimes send a stronger message than words ever could. Another layer to this habit is self-respect. They know that constantly explaining themselves to people who have already made up their minds is a losing game. They don't invest in arguments where the other person isn't open to understanding. This ability to walk away isn't weakness, it's a sign of maturity and strength. It's the understanding that peace is more valuable than winning a pointless debate. By being selective with their battles, they protect their emotional health and preserve their energy for situations that truly require their attention. This allows them to show up more powerfully when it really counts. People notice that when these women do speak up, it's for a reason, not for drama or ego. And because they're not constantly involved in every little conflict, their voice carries more weight when they finally choose to use it. Over time, this practice builds a reputation for being wise, composed, and not easily rattled, which naturally commands respect. They keep learning beyond the classroom because they understand that intelligence is not a fixed trait, but something that grows with consistent effort. For them, education doesn't stop with a diploma or a job title. They see every day as a chance to discover something new, whether it's a skill, an idea, or a perspective. Their curiosity is what fuels this habit. They don't wait for opportunities to learn to come to them. They seek them out. They read widely, listen to podcasts, take courses, ask questions, and engage in conversations with people from different walks of life. They know that even a 5-minute conversation can hold valuable lessons if they're paying attention. These women don't limit their learning to subjects directly related to their careers or current interests. They branch out into areas that may seem unrelated because they know knowledge often connects in unexpected ways. A lesson learned from history might improve how they handle business negotiations. A concept from psychology might help them navigate relationships more effectively. They keep their minds open and adaptable, which allows them to find solutions others might miss because they're drawing from a much wider pool of understanding. Part of this habit is also being comfortable with not knowing everything. Instead of seeing gaps in their knowledge as weaknesses, they see them as opportunities to grow. They're not afraid to say, "I don't know, but I'm willing to find out." This humility keeps them in a state of continuous improvement while also making them approachable to others who want to share knowledge with them. They also practice applying what they learn. They know that simply gathering information isn't enough. It's the ability to use it in real situations that creates real intelligence. Whether it's trying a new strategy at work, testing a new habit in their personal life, or sharing knowledge to help someone else, they put ideas into motion. This willingness to experiment not only sharpens their skills, but also builds confidence in their ability to adapt to change. By staying committed to lifelong learning, they keep their minds sharp and their perspectives fresh. They're less likely to become stuck in outdated thinking because they're always challenging themselves to see the world in new ways. This makes them resilient in a world that changes quickly. While others might feel lost when circumstances shift, they can adjust because learning has trained them to be flexible. Over time, this habit becomes one of their greatest advantages. They're not just keeping up with the world, they're staying ahead of it. They value quality relationships over quantity because they know the people they surround themselves with have a direct influence on their mindset, energy, and growth. Highly intelligent women are intentional about who they allow into their lives. They aren't impressed by large social circles or constant attention. Instead, they look for relationships that are genuine, supportive, and built on mutual respect. They understand that it's better to have a handful of meaningful connections than dozens of shallow ones that drain their time and energy. They choose to spend time with people who inspire them, challenge them, and bring out their best qualities. These are friends, mentors, and partners who encourage growth instead of holding them back. They look for relationships where honesty is valued, where conversations go beyond small talk, and where both sides are willing to listen and learn from each other. They understand that growth is often uncomfortable, so they appreciate people who will tell them the truth, even when it's not easy to hear, because they know it comes from a place of care. This approach to relationships also means they are not afraid to create distance from people who bring negativity or chaos into their lives. They don't keep someone close just because of history or out of guilt. If someone consistently disrespects their boundaries, undermines their confidence, or adds unnecessary stress, they are willing to step back. They see this not as being cold, but as protecting their well-being, because they understand that negative influences can quietly erode self-esteem and focus over time. They also invest deeply in the relationships that matter. They show up for the people they care about, not just when it's convenient, but when it counts. They listen without judgment, celebrate others' successes without envy, and offer support without expecting anything in return. They know that strong relationships are built through consistent effort, trust, and mutual respect. By focusing on quality over quantity, these women create an environment where they can thrive. They are surrounded by people who lift them higher, not pull them down. These relationships become a source of motivation, strength, and perspective, which in turn helps them handle challenges with more resilience. They know that the right people don't just make life more enjoyable, they make them sharper, wiser, and more capable. Over time, this choice to be selective with their circle shapes not just their personal happiness, but also their success in every area of life. They practice emotional self-discipline because they understand that intelligence is not only measured by how much you know, but also by how well you manage yourself under pressure. Highly intelligent women are aware that emotions are powerful, and if left unchecked, They can lead to choices that damage relationships, reputations, and even self-respect. This is why they make it a priority to respond instead of react. They know that reacting in the heat of the moment often means handing control over to anger, fear, or frustration, and that control is something they are not willing to give away. When faced with a tense situation, they take a pause. That pause gives them space to think clearly, to weigh their words, and to consider the bigger picture. They focus on what outcome they want instead of letting emotions dictate their actions. This doesn't mean they suppress their feelings or pretend they aren't affected. It means they choose the time and place to address them in a way that aligns with their values and goals. They also pay attention to triggers. They know which situations, topics, or behaviors tend to push their buttons, and they prepare for them. This awareness allows them to be intentional about how they handle those moments, whether it's taking a breath before speaking, stepping away to cool down, or simply choosing silence when nothing productive can be said. This level of control doesn't come overnight. It's built through constant practice and self-awareness. Another key part of emotional self-discipline is separating facts from feelings. They understand that emotions are valid, but not always accurate reflections of reality. By taking a step back and looking at the situation objectively, they prevent themselves from making decisions based solely on temporary emotional states. This habit helps them avoid regret and maintain a sense of stability even when everything around them feels uncertain. Their calm presence becomes one of their most valuable traits. People notice that they don't get easily rattled or dragged into drama, and this makes others trust their judgment. In moments of crisis, they're often the ones people turn to because they can think clearly when everyone else is overwhelmed. Over time, this emotional strength not only protects their own peace, but also becomes a source of influence and leadership, allowing them to navigate challenges with dignity and confidence. They protect their time like a treasure because they understand that time is the most valuable resource they have. Once it's gone, it can never be recovered. Highly intelligent women don't fall into the trap of saying yes to every request or obligation just to please others or avoid conflict. Instead, they are intentional with their commitments. They ask themselves if an opportunity, task, or invitation aligns with their goals, values, and priorities before agreeing to it. If it doesn't, they feel confident saying no without guilt or explanation. This habit is rooted in self-respect and clarity. They know that their time and energy are limited, so they protect them fiercely. By setting clear boundaries, they prevent burnout and ensure they have space for what truly matters. They don't overcommit or spread themselves too thin. Instead, they schedule their days with purpose and make time for rest, reflection, and activities that recharge them mentally and emotionally. They also understand that protecting time isn't just about saying no to others. It's about saying yes to themselves. This means carving out moments for personal growth, creativity, and self-care. Whether it's reading a book, exercising, meditating, or pursuing a passion project, they know these investments in themselves pay off by making them sharper, more focused, and more resilient. When distractions arise from social media, unnecessary meetings, or people who drain their energy, they recognize them quickly and take steps to minimize or eliminate those interruptions. They practice discipline in managing technology and social commitments so that their attention stays on what moves them forward. By treating their time as a treasure, these women live with intentionality. Their days are designed, not drifted through. This creates momentum that helps them reach their goals steadily and with less stress. Over time, this habit becomes one of their greatest advantages. While others may feel overwhelmed by endless demands, they move through life with clarity and control, always protecting the precious resource of time that fuels their intelligence and success